Salutations to all you folks out there. I have a one versus one for you today on another one bites the dust. This game we're going to be following Peanut Carl. He is going Seraphim versus Gabanop, maybe, who is UEF. Now this is a very low ranked game. Normally I would not do something this low, but this is going to be basically a little tutorial for people who are completely new to FA and to FAF. Peanut Carl has actually come over from StarCraft 2, a good thing to hear always. I've talked to a couple of players who came over from StarCraft, and it's usually a good experience if they can overcome the initial just getting used to the game and learning how to manage all of the stuff that's going on. So hopefully we'll be able to help him out, and maybe we can all learn something as well. Alright, first off, I'm going to make this observation. When you build something like this, if you click on your ACU, this large yellow ring pops up. That is your build range. And you can build any building that is inside that build range. So the yellow ring is touching that mass extractor, and the square has a good corner inside the build ring. You can actually build that from where your ACU is standing. So if you keep that in mind when you're standing here, if you cannot reach it, what you do is you hold down the shift key and you place a move order like 2 inches to the left, and then build it, and that will save you all the time of going around and doing these. Alright, that is observation number one. Observation number two is it costs more power to build an air factory than it does to build a land factory. So you need to adjust your build accordingly. If you throw down a land factory, I would build P-gens before I built the mass extractor. Other than that, you did get your expansion out, you're getting the hydro, other than the power stall from going air first and not going P-gen first, your eco is looking semi-balanced. That's actually way better than most minus 75 players would be doing right now. And things look like they're coming together nicely. What I would have done with this is I would have gone bomber as soon as I recovered power. Air factory, spam up 3 P-gens, and then go bomber on that. Alright. I have not played on this particular map before, although this does look like a fairly difficult one. We've got water everywhere, chopping the map up into sections. One thing that you do have going for you is that you are Seraphim, and that means you will be able to push the T1 artillery across because it does hover. You're having mass problems right now. Something you can do is manually reclaim. Take some of these engineers that you're building, and there are not any out here on the island, but back here, these rocks are actually worth quite a bit of mass if you go reclaim them. Just shoot an engineer over here and suck all those up. Go down the side. You can actually place a move order right here and suck up these rocks that are on the edge. And then I would come down here, and if you place a move order here and then hold down the Alt key and right click over here, that will place an attack move order, which for an engineer means it will move in a relatively straight line in an area about like that size, and it will reclaim everything in its path. Very handy feature. And then again with this engineer, I would send him to one side or the other and attack move up the sides in order to get that mass. There's not quite as many rocks down here, but there are some. And that is something that you can do to recover early. Alright. One thing important to remember about Forged Alliance is that early aggression is very rewarding. If you, instead of getting these interceptors out, since air has not come to you as of yet, so you can safely assume that he either is not using his air or he has not built an air factory, I would build a bomber and then immediately build an air scout, because the air scouts build very quickly. Your bomber would be about here and the air scout would be out of the factory and overtaking it. So the radar and the vision of the scout would be ahead of your bomber, and you would have time to attack things. One thing that will help you out on that is if you can get your first bomber out quick enough. This is going on the fact that you have an air factory first. Um, if you can get the bomber out soon enough, you can hit the engineers that are building the hydro, and that denies 100 power income to your opponent. So that is something that you can do early. Has a pretty devastating effect on the other person's economy and does really well. All right, another observation. You have severely overbuilt power. You can go into the minus mass and you're still overflowing 300 power. That is never a good thing. All of the mass that went into these could be going into tanks and such things. But since your opponent is also turtling up like a boss, I don't think that's going to be a concern. And you are pushing the hover artillery. Well done, good sir. That is going to be a good thing. Got a bomber down here on the side. I hope you see that soon. Pinging out of habit. Going for a massive air spam. Alright, something else that is effective on maps like this is drops. I would be building a transport, and I would drop a couple engineers here, there. Anywhere there is a substantial group of mass extractors, I would be dropping a bomber to get factories up ASAP. Or in a situation like this, drop the bombers here, throw down 3 or 4 land factories, and overwhelm this position. That would be a good plan of action. Another thing is on a... Oh, man. He's going T2 land. Probably going for hover tanks. That is an interesting choice, to say the least. I would get a drop, and I would fly around the outside edge to avoid being seen. And I would actually drop back here somewhere and just immediately start throwing up land factories to take the fight to him. Okay, upgrading a mass extractor, still building power when you're plus 472, 450. You're over 450 overflowing. So all of this mass that you're throwing into these power generators would be better put either into upgrading this mass extractor or to building more combat units. That is kind of that is a really bad investment. Something to remember is that every consecutive tier of power is more efficient than the tech level behind it. So, you know, a T1 costs 75 mass to make 20 power. And then Tech 2 makes 500 power. Did you just quit? I think he did just quit. Alright, well, that was the replay that you sent in, and I know that you were looking for eco advice. So, for the people out there who have not gotten this yet, basically the two biggest problems here were the initial start, which could be solved by building a P-Gen first and then the mass extractor, or by going land factory first, and then the initial mass stall, which could be solved by manual reclaim on the rock clumps near the base. And then finally, do not overbuild power by that much. You can overbuild power by 50. You know, that's not going to kill you. Maybe even 100 if you're on a land map and you're abusing overcharge with your ACU and really burning through a ton of power. But when you're in a normal game situation like this, if you're overflowing 500 power, there's a big problem. And then the last thing that I would say is to be aggressive. Get your attack units out early, scout, do drops, build proxy bases. Just get your units to the other side of the map as quickly as possible and start harassing. Because if you can knock the other player off their balance, you have essentially won the game. Alright, that is going to wrap it up for this one. For the experienced players out there, this is mostly geared towards the lower ranked players, so please don't feel the need to be real harsh in the comments. And to all the people who needed eco advice, hopefully that will help you out. Alright guys, I am out of here.